Nice.
Yeah! There we go. Got a duck. That's the first ever duck I've shot on the wing. So we're gonna eat duck. Get to eat the duck. If you're just joining us now, you missed a pile of stuff. You have no idea what we're doing. You gotta have to go back to the start and figure out how we got here. We're on season 4 of the Wilderness Living Challenge. We're well into the challenge now. I'm gonna got a plate here. I'm gonna grab some apples. We've been living out of the vehicle right now because we've been meaning to get way off into the wilderness. The problem is the weather's been crap. We haven't wanted to go jump in a canoe and paddle all the way down the river to a spot I don't know with no guarantees of a campsite. So we've been bird hunting up in this area here. We're camped at a lake for now. We haven't even put the canoe in yet, but we meant to. So I'm gonna grab some apples. I'm gonna peel them up as per our all wild food diet without losing any weight. That's the idea. We're trying to gain or maintain our body weight. We weighed in on day 1 and we're gonna weigh out on the final day. If we lose even any weight at all, we lose the challenge. And we're only eating what we can collect, only wild foods. So far we've got bear and beaver and birds, grouse, spruce, and ruffed grouse. Next, we're going to be looking for fish, we'll be looking for goose, we'll be looking for ducks. Let's grab some apples now. A box of apples in here I collected from southern Ontario before I came up. And that's fair is fair. When you collect things from nature, it's all good. That's the only part of the rule. That's all you got to follow for the Wilderness Living Challenge in order to be legitimate. So I'm going to grab a pile of these. I usually grab enough to fill a plate. Zach Fowler, who's with me right now, doesn't eat apples because he wants to stay in ketosis. I want to stay out of ketosis as much as possible because that's the best way to keep my weight up. If you look over here, we've got a pile of meat. We got bear meat, bear fat. Look, there's a little grouse that we got yesterday. So we're going to be digging through these spoils that we got, this ample spoils, as long as we can to see how long we can go just living off wild foods. The idea right now is 7 days. See if we can do that. 7 days total. We've been fortunate to be sort of on a designated campsite, I guess. Usually I like to go way off in the woods. The benefits are there's nice tables to work on. So I've got a mess of apples here. I like to peel the apples only because it gives me a chance to inspect the apples. As these are wild apples, they're not sprayed, so a lot of them have some pretty gross damage, bugs and rot and things like that. So if I peel them, I can have an inspection of the apples and then cut them up and cut all the bad parts out. I would recommend that you cook any of these apples, these wild kinds. They could really turn your stomach. So far, this morning, I'm only on day 3, I guess now, this 3rd-ish full day, and I've already had takeoff, launch off, you know, drop the kids off in the pool kind of thing, and my body has handled the fats and proteins and apples perfectly this year. I guess I'm getting the right balance of the fats, and I've over the last year I've experimented with eating more of the fats, and before my body wouldn't handle them too well, but now it's been bang on. So I'm going to peel these up here and then I'll dice them up in here, and then what I've been doing is cooking them because I find it's actually more digestible if I do it that way. You can see there's quite a bit of rot on the inside, so you cut as much of that out. I'm not super particular about the apple rot and stuff. It does leave a bitter taste more than anything, so it's not as palatable as it could be. I imagine you could just put the skins in there too and just, you know, get a little bit of fiber if you wanted the fiber. I don't want a ton of fiber in my diet. I'm just looking for the straight up calories so my body doesn't have to do all the work. So that is my allotment of apples for today. I got a heaping plate full. That'll go into the pot and I'll turn it into apple mush. And I found that by cooking it, it makes it a lot more digestible. And humans are pretty much famous for processing and cooking things to make it more palatable. So we'll toss these in the pot right now, put them in the fire, and let it boil down, and we'll make some beautiful, delicious, warm applesauce. There's always some prep work when we make our beaver stew. So we'll pull this out. You can't, I mean, you could try to eat it like that. It's just better to actually break it up in pieces. It cooks better, it tenderizes better. So we'll just take the knife, break it up as best we can, and then put that back in the stew and let it tenderize even more. It's pretty hot right now, but you don't have to be too particular about how we break it up. Just break it up. We know we're on the right track when the muscle tissues completely fall apart, and there's no time to be sanitary here. We just tear it apart, put it back in.
Favorite part? Yeah, the fat, yeah.
Zach's in love with the fat because he's keto and wants to stay in keto because he figures that's his best chance of actually winning the competition. So that's the secret ingredient. That's pure bear fat that we stripped off the bear. So we just cut it up into chunks. My mouth is watering. I'm finally turned completely mad carnivore. When your mouth starts to water from raw fat globules from a bear, you know you're there. But you're eating them like just chunks of.
Yeah, I'm just eating them just like chunks, just like this once they're stewed up
like
and stuff.
As if it's just food.
Yeah, just food. Just
like a piece of butter.
Yep.
So I think I'm finally over the hump where, you know, when I used to skin an animal like a deer or something like that, I never wanted to eat it for a couple days because I let it sit in the fridge and let my mind relax from, you know, the gruesomeness and gore of it all. But my mouth is legitimately watering watching you cut bear fat. It's been a couple days since we actually cleaned the bear, but even while I was doing it, I'm like, just watching the bear fat melt a little bit because of the warm temperatures we're having was making me hungry. So we're there. I'm there. I could just skin an animal and eat it right away. That's something that modern people don't get over very quickly, right?
Yeah.
They don't have to experience all that and the process from beginning to end.
Yeah, I've ever struggled with that. We raised goats, and
yeah,
and Jamie, my now ex-wife, would always be like, we're not eating this for like a week or something, and
sure, yeah,
you know, like, I can't eat this for today, and I'm like, oh come on, I'm so hungry, let's stew a leg, like let's do that really good jerked leg recipe that you do with the teriyaki and the
Moving day today. We're gonna load up, load out, and we're gonna go off more and further into the wilderness, hopefully get into some fishing and all that stuff. So gonna take the tent down. It's actually partly cloudy today versus all the other days. It's sort of raining all the time. So let's load out here. I'm not quite there yet. You can eat those fat globules like that. That'd be all right. Big chunks of fat, just chew them like bubble gum.
They are, no, because I laugh because they are chewy like bubble gum. It takes a while to chew them down when before they've rendered, kind of, or mostly rendered.
Liquefy the fat.
Yeah, I like chewing them down. They, especially with the seasoning salt that you put on them. That's good stuff.
They're just releasing all those sugars out of there, caramelizing those apples and making that sugar available to my body real quickly. Applesauce. I'm gonna grab the big pot of beaver meat. It's kind of like the breakfast of champions, don't you think? Wild everything, organic, no pesticide, free range, all that good stuff. Alright guys, I reminded you before, if you don't understand why you're in the middle of the forest with Zach Fowler eating beaver, go back to the start and figure out how we got here. We got some bear coming up on the way. We're almost through one beaver so far. You tired of eating beaver yet?
No, not at all.
Not at all. Good.
No. How many meals is this? This is like 4 meals of beaver?
Or so.
Yeah.
Yep. So we got the broth. The broth is actually super rich now. It's very fatty. We're not skipping the globules of bear fat that we've added in to richen it even further. The applesauce is going to be a staple for this year of the Wilderness Living Challenge. I'm not sure if that looks good to you or gross, but it tastes like eating just straight up butter and lard. You just take a big bite of that fat. That's like eating lard, straight up. You just suck and chew on it and let those oils melt. You don't want to swallow a globule of fat straight up. Probably going to go right through you. You're curious about this applesauce? Even with all the rot, it's as good as store-bought stuff. Once it cools down, the bitterness of that rot will kind of leave you with a little bit of an aftertaste, but as is, that applesauce is really good. Something that you could eat over and over again. So this is coming with us. We have a pile of food left. That's a beaver. Pile of it left. So we're gonna portage with this and the applesauce. So maybe you guys wonder what we do all day and why it's hard to get anything else done. It's because we're cooking and just cooking all the time, so it doesn't leave a lot of time to do other things. You know, if we can develop a system like we've been working on that will permit us to have an abundance of food, it makes sense to start having other people involved, a community, a family. You know, before we struggle with food and it makes sense to have multiple people because we just didn't have anything to process, but now we have things to process. You know, we have big game, we have a camp that needs to be tending, and then we can send people off foraging and collecting new things. So the idea now is to pack everything up and move off into another location. We could set up more permanent camp. We can hang some of our meat and prevent it from spoiling. So we're just loading up now and we're going to take off. Hold up, hold up. Alright guys, that's one for the bag, a nice roughie. It's just, we're driving down the road, jumped into the bush, we tracked it down. I got some footage on the GoPro here and Zach got a nice wide angle shot on it. But yeah, I'm not used to hunting these type of rough grouse. Usually they'll fly into the woods and you'll have to chase them for miles and miles and miles. These guys are a little bit on the dumber side, which I like. Down over here at the end is the lake we're going to go to. So we gotta fit all the things that we need in the canoe up here. We'll load out. Yeah, it's about a 3-kilometer paddle, so it's not super short, but it's not super long either. We're hoping to get into some fish and some other things. It's the perfect portage food. So the idea here is to try to bring only what we need. It turns out we need a lot of stuff, especially with our camera gear and our cooking pots and all that stuff. We're not traveling light, that's for sure. Here's our meat stock left. We got a grouse that Zach shot. We have a full leg. We have beaver tails we haven't even touched yet. We got 2 racks, or 1 rack of ribs, I think 1 leg, a couple frozen ones, and then I already threw in the canoe. I threw in our fat. That's what we have left for fat. Maybe 7 pounds or so of fat, and we have caul fat as well. We're almost there. People don't quite understand what we do all day and get done all day, but part of it's like just busy work, man. Running around trying to get stuff done happens a lot slower than you think. Happens a lot slower than you think. All right guys, we're going to switch up from lead shot. Now we're going to steel. We have to use steel shot over any body of water when we're shooting for waterfowl, so that'll be duck and geese. Those are both in season right now. So load up with steel, and that way you don't end up with a bunch of lead in the water. So on our way out paddling, we might get lucky and be able to jump shoot a duck or a goose. We've seen ducks before here, and actually some geese landed in the pond we were in last night, but we spooked them off. So spooking them off from a long distance makes me not super confident that we'll be able to get one, but you never know, and it's pays to be prepared. So I'm going to be riding shotgun in the front of the bow, and Zach will hopefully be able to sneak me into some tight corners and we can jump shoot some ducks if I'm quick enough. I don't know anything about what I'm going to find at the end of this river. I've only looked at it on a map, and so I don't know. So it's a big risk. We'll go out the first day and just go straight out there, and with the weather we had, it just wasn't a good idea. But now we're gonna get out there and have a look, see what else is out here. We did see a moose up the river the other day. I didn't get it on film, but it was pretty cool. Bull moose antlers. That was pretty neat. And we also saw lynx. We saw lynx on the first day we were here, just the butt end of it, walking or running away. And I'm still looking for a hare. I know there are lots of hare around, but hard to hunt when there's not snow on the ground. So that'll be coming real soon. We had some flurries. It's getting cold.
I think my heavy bag is heavier than your heavy bag.
I think so.
Beautiful paddling. Couldn't ask for a better day.
Yes!
Nice.
Yeah!
Nice.
That's my first duck on the wing.
Yeah. Woo. Go get him.
There we go, got a duck. That's the first ever duck I've shot on the wing, so I'm super proud of myself. Woo! We're gonna eat duck. Get to eat the duck. You set back there to shoot?
Yeah.
Okay, let's get as close as we can get. You ready? They're gonna come back. No, they're not. Shoot! Oh, one left. Ready?
3 left.
Ready?
Yeah, go for it.
Hang on, one more. So we only found one campsite, and it was an old campsite that nobody had done any maintenance on. So the plan now is to actually go back to the river. We found one on the river, but we didn't look at it because we wanted to fish. We wanted to sit on the lake and fish, obviously. But turns out Zach actually didn't bring his fishing rod, and we just saw some ducks fly back to the river. So what we're doing now is we're paddling back to the river spot, and we're going to set up there and then hopefully get into some ducks instead of you know, Zach watching me fish. That wouldn't be very much fun, would it?
No.
No. So we're gonna go set up there, and the sun's almost setting, which is kind of curious. We've eaten one meal today, so if you guys are wondering, we lost about half a pound, maybe a pound today, just messing around, not eating, only one meal. So we got some catching up to do. I do anyway. Zach says he's not feeling too well. He's not a boatsman. He's a boat builder, but he's not too.
No, I'm all about canoes and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've done plenty of canoe trips and things. So I've never. I don't know.
Just not feeling well.
I feel a little hinky. Not bad, but just like a little.
Yeah. So we'll get him to shore and tuck him into bed. No, we got a little bit of work to do. We got to set up tents and all that. So, well, I'm pretty proud of this duck because it's the first duck I've ever shot in the air. So I'm pretty pumped about that. All right, so we're at the other spot, and I have no idea what I'm about to find. Good news or bad news? No, the good news is there's a fire pit and somewhat of a table. There's actually 2 fire pits. It's a pretty nice location. There's a fire pit there, and then there's another fire pit there. And then let's go look back here. Looks like there's a couple lobster mushrooms here we could eat. Decent view of the lake. The trail coming back here, see if there's any tent pads. Yeah, I found a tent pad, that's good news. Here we go, tent pad. So this is going to be our home, and we are of course behind the 8 ball. Always behind the 8 ball. There we go, there's one of the ducks. Delicious duck. It'll be a nice change from what we've been eating so far. We'll throw that in with some bear fat. Pluck it, same as we would a grouse. And just throw it in a pot with bear fat and some adobo spice. I think that'll be really good. It's unfortunate a lot of this stuff's going to be done in the dark, but I'll do my best to show you what it's like, and you know, I'm sure we'll get another couple ducks or something. The process is going to be the same. Just pull the feathers out. If you guys are just joining us now, you really have to go back and figure out how we got here, because we demonstrate all this stuff, and there's a lot going on. There's a lot going on all the way from the start to the point we're at right now. It's been a crazy journey, but yeah, go back to start, watch the whole playlist to figure out, you know, what we're doing, and it continues from here. It's not like we're done for now. It keeps going. A lot of people buy duck fat at the store because it's so rich and healthy. So this bird could be brusted out completely, but the skin on these is so worth keeping that it's worth the effort to pluck them. So that's what I'm going to do. Pull out all these feathers, just dry, and there's going to be some down underneath them, so it's going to be pretty annoying to do it, but if you're diligent, you have no problem. You can see some of that skin's getting exposed there. And then I'm going to drop it in a pan, add that bear fat and some adobo spice, and probably a little bit of water just so that it doesn't burn or scald at the bottom. And that'll burn off, but you can see that beautiful duck skin. This will take a few minutes, but it's not very tedious and difficult. So that's all we do. There we go. And then once we're done that, we're just going to cut around here. We'll reach up as far as we can and pull all that out. Very, very simple. Nothing complicated about it. Remember, all animals have the same kind of body plan. Food goes in their mouth, works the way through their body, goes out the butt, and all you're doing is disengaging the butt and the throat, and then you're pulling all that out, because that's the stuff you don't want to eat. This tent pad is not 100% flat, but it's going to have to do, because it's the only tent pad that's here. So what I'm going to do is, first thing always, is try to clear out all the branches possible. Anything that's poking up is going to bother you in the middle of the night. I do have my thermal rest with me. It's inflatable. It will protect me a little bit from what's underneath, but it's better just to take the time now to clear it out. That's pretty much it. Just gotta throw the fly on, and we're set. No mosquitoes out here. It's late September, almost October, and those cool nights kill all the mosquitoes, so you don't have to worry about them anymore. So you don't really need a tent, but it's nice to have a tent so you can throw your stuff in it. I prefer a tent. Zach's actually used a hammock. Pros and cons to both. I like being flat. I like being on the ground. So for the time being, I'm going to stick with my tent. So this is actually what they call a three-person tent, 3P, but I guess I'm 3P, but it only fits actually 2 people comfortably. Fits me perfectly. So that's all I do for now. Throw that in there. The rest I can blow up my mat after dark. I don't need to see anything to be able to do that. Zip it up close so that I don't have any insects climbing in. It's not going to be any mosquitoes, but there could be a spider. You like sleeping with spiders? I don't. Before it gets too dark, it's always a good idea to get your headlamp out. Then you're not digging around for it in the dark. So headlamp here is very handy, and then when I need it, I'm good to go. I'm hungry. Gonna heat this up and add some more bear fat to it, and I get to eat. Thankfully there's everything we need here. Birch bark, bone dry twigs. We're gonna get a big fire going and let that burn down. Then we're gonna add our food. But we have cast iron, so we can actually just edge it up to the fire and let the fire heat one side, spin it, heat the other side, and eventually once it burns down to coal, put it right on top. So these globs of tissue that we pretty much take for granted in our modern world is what's basically saving our life right now. Eating straight up protein is not going to cut it. You need fat. This is the stuff we shaved off of the outside of a bear, and we've been adding gobs of it to our food. We are eating probably a good pound of it each every day just to maintain our body weight. Without having this fat, there is simply not enough carbohydrates in, especially this environment, to keep us alive. In order to survive, you have to have the right ingredients. So that will be diced up as small as I can make it, and we're gonna add that to our beaver stew to help richen it. And that is what's gonna keep us alive. That's fat, straight up bear fat. We've gone through almost a whole bag of fat from one animal, almost the entire amount of body fat from one bear just to keep us alive and keep our weight up. So we're burning a lot of this stuff. Zach making a pot hook.
Pot hook.
Pot hook. That works good. It's coming in handy this trip. Very handy.
Special just for the cast iron lid pot part. So it's flat on the bottom, so it slips right underneath.
Right on. You're using the shovel for that?
Yep. Use my shovel for carving most anything, roughing things out. Fowlers make mischief.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's because you make a lot of things.
Oh yeah.
I don't make anything besides food.
Right.
So let me show you. Look at this. That's you basically sawed off a log.
Yeah, just sawed a downed tree, and then I cut it so that the limbs were facing down into legs. So there's a bunch of legs, and now we got a nice little two-person bench, so we can sit here and pluck the grouse and the duck that we got today.
Awesome.
And put them on to cook.
How many men out there do you think share a moment like this? Cheers.
Cheers.
Alright guys, that's what we're looking at. Got our standard beaver with bear fat, seasoning salt, and a side of apples. Tomorrow we're going to take some of that bear fat and cook up those ducks and grouse with some adobo spice. Just a couple of guys plucking some birds. Nothing strange about this, sitting on the log by the fire. You guys, if you ever get a chance to go with your buddies, do it. Might be out of your comfort zone. I'm learning how to shoot ducks and geese and all that stuff basically from scratch, and Zach hasn't picked up a gun in 3 years, he said. So we're both learning how to do it. Is anybody making fun of anybody else?
Nope.
For missing and all that stuff?
Nope.
No, just bang bang bang, right?
Yep.
That's how you learn. You can't be afraid to make mistakes. I put a notice out on my Facebook saying I was looking to get out goose hunting, and my disclaimer was that I can't aim, but I can aim in random locations and pull the trigger. So that's good enough. Just tell people where you stand, and then they're going to help guide you, because that's, you know, what other people are for, really. You learn from other people. You can also learn on your own in secret, but you learn a lot faster if you can learn from somebody who has a little bit of experience out there. I know you guys never believe me when I say it's good, but if you just take a piece of fat like that, that's good. Basically got chunks of, this is all chunks of fat, and at the bottom is all liquidy. And I almost knocked myself out taking a drink of this stuff. It's like straight up, it's like if you liquefied butter and you just drank it. I'd be curious to know how many calories I'm eating. I don't know, but I'd be really curious to know. Just take a drink.
Is you go on the back for seconds?
Wow. If that's not a mouthful of 400 calories, I don't know what a mouthful of 400 calories looks like. That's a lot of calories. You think of like calories in nuts, you know, and a handful of nuts is about 300 calories. Straight out, right?
I think the macadamia nuts are like the most rich. There is one other nut that's so rich, and I've bought it before, and it's from like some foreign country, obviously, and it's so rich you can barely eat it. It's so fatty.
Yeah, this is it.
Yeah.
This is like if you melted butter.
I don't even think butter has that much fat in it compared to this. Like, because I mean, butter.
Well, this is just fat.
Yeah.
Like whatever just fat is, that's just fat. Like that's bear fat. That's not like make believe fat. That's bear fat. That's a lot of it. We may be overdoing it on how many calories we should be eating at this point.
Yeah, but that's the point, right?
That's the point.
To gain weight. Now
Yeah.
he's getting squeamish.
Yeah, that's the point, right?
Yeah.
Well, see what we can do. See what shakes out in the end.
And come out of here with pot bellies.
It just does not look good.
I think it's the night vision on the camera mostly, but yeah.
Well, no, look at it for real. Does that look good?
No.
It's like brown. It doesn't look good.
No.
It doesn't have the preservatives in it. They have the whatever they put in that applesauce to make it.
It's picking up some of your pot color, probably.
It just looks like as soon as you cut up a wild apple, it turns brown. That's the apple mash. Wish you could see the color. It looks like gray puke. Doesn't look very good anymore. Does it?
Yeah, it looks a little green.
Yeah, it looks greeny, browny, gray mush.
So you didn't manage your day's allotment of apples, huh?
No, not unless I get this down, but I've definitely eaten the replacement in the bear fat. All right, guys, I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to finish plucking my bird, and I think that's it for today. We're just going to eat more of our stew, go to bed, and maybe wake up early. Probably not for ducks. We will probably paddle the river though. So keep watching. If you have just started now, go back to start and finish that. Go check out Zach Fowler. You can subscribe or not, I don't care. Subscribe to Zach, he cares. You'll find the links and all that stuff. Anyway, that's it for now. See you guys tomorrow.